Can we start? We're good? Okay, fantastic. So, good morning, Friday Inkwell. Grab a drink, grab a seat. So, we have got a great panel. In my humble opinion, it's probably the strongest panel of the whole of the week. And you guys are the heart. There you go, there you go. And you guys are the real crew. You're the real ones that stay to the very end. So, I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate the panel. So, we're going to talk about creativity. Obviously, we're at Cannes, so we understand the agenda, but we're going to talk about specifically how we push creativity, right? There's so many makers out there. Technology is now normalized. There's so many opportunities. Brands are getting involved in creating different experiences. What are the creative leaders of our industries thinking about this? So we're going to have that discussion. My name is Justin Thomas Copeland. I'm a founder and CEO of multiple agencies, but it's really about the crew. So I'm going to ask everyone to just say a couple of words, their name, and what they do. Over to you.
Hola, good people. My name is Danny Jackson Smith. I am the founder of a creative management agency called The Creators. I represent artists that are rooted in culture and social impact, and so that's where I thrive, and I'm excited to be here on this panel with everybody today.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tiff Rolfe. I'm the chair and global CCO of RGA, which is more of a... Oh, yeah. I brought all of my agency here to support me. And actually, I'm excited to talk about creativity. I've been coming to Cannes now. This is my 20th year, which is wild, and it's been interesting to see all the changes and new technologies and shifts in how we do work. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I'm passing the mic.
Morning, everyone. My name's Oriel Davis-Lyons. For the past 5 months, I've been Chief Creative Officer of Mother New York. Before that, in previous lives, I was at Spotify. I did some time at Droga and also at RGA. Yeah. Hello, all. Hello, old friends.
Hi. I'm Andrea Diques. I brought some people too. I'm the global CEO at GUT. I used to be at DDB Chicago, Saatchi New York before that, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Morning, everybody. I'm Ete Davies. I'm the Chief Operating Officer across Dentsu's Creative Agency Network for Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Hello, good morning. My name is Olivier Henry. I guess I'm the only French here, so welcome in France. I feel a bit alone because I'm the only French, but yeah, I'm creative director at Publicity Sport, and I used to work only in France, only in Paris. Come to Paris, beautiful city.
Excellent. All right, let's get into this. So as we were thinking about the panel, and we were thinking about creativity, I think that one of the things that we can all agree on is that it's time to really and continue to push the creativity that we develop into new areas. There's too much opportunity, there's too much tech, there's too much desire for us to stay where we've always been. In order to push anything and to evolve agendas, you've got to be brave. And one of the quotes that was really sort of driving some of my thinking was this from Maya Angelou, my favorite author. And she speaks about courage. She says that courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. If we're going to be creative and continue to be the epicenter of the creative industry, we have to be brave. So we're going to look at that across talent, product, in the boardroom, and also technology. So let's just get into it. We're going to talk about talent, because talent is always the most important thing. I think without the people and the talent, you don't have anything. I'm going to ask this question to Oriel. Given your background with the one school, I know you're looking at me like, I can't believe you called me out, but I did. So when you think about creativity and you think about the talent that you have, how far do you think we've come in your creative department, in ones that you've worked, of bringing the right type of talent to really drive and fire up new types of creativity and evolve the creative product? How do you think we're doing?
I think we're doing better than we were, right, I'd say 3-4 years ago. I look around, I had lunch actually at the beginning of the week with 12 young people, young professionals who are coming up through a program called the Creative Ladder, right? And that is a program that didn't exist, or it was launched a year ago, right, at Cannes. The One School, which I co-founded with the One Club, is 3 years old, and now some of our first students are here and winning Gold Lions. Shout out Barbara. So there is progress, right? You can see it just here as you walk up and down. There are ways into the industry that didn't exist previously, right? And we need as many doors as possible, right? And we have to make sure that once people are in, they're able to kind of flourish and thrive. And I think that's the kind of next step of the conversation that we probably need to focus on is, okay, once this talent is in the industry and in the building, how are we building, you know, the systems, the environment for them to thrive, knowing that they're not necessarily coming from traditional avenues, right? And I think that's probably the work that we've done less of, you know, as an industry. Right. I think we've been very focused on the very first part of the pipeline, but I think the shift now needs to happen is, okay, how do we make sure that pipeline goes all the way up to, you know, this stage, right?
Great. Actually, I'm going to pick up on something you just said. You spoke about non-traditional people getting access to the industry. Danny, I'd like for you to take this one to start. You've got a fantastic proposition. I met you in Chicago. You took me through some of the talent that you manage, talent that I had never come across before. And I think your idea is super fresh and needed in the industry to do just that, bring different types of people. Can you tell us a little bit about the types of talent you have, how you attract them, and how they thrive, to Oriel's point?
Yeah, look, my background is in production, so I've had the luxury of working with a variety of types of people, and we understand that art and culture are languages. It's how we connect with people. If you don't have connection, you don't have work, you know? And so that's sort of the stance point that I take. How do you want to connect with people? We connect through our senses. This is a sensual industry, so sight, touch, taste, sound. And I look at folks that are at the top tier of what they do and how they connect with people. So I've got folks from directors and photographers. One of my photographers, Danielle Austin, shoots for Gucci. But I met her as an intern at Leo Burnett through a program that I helped curate called Blank Canvas, where that whole purpose to do that recruiting process was throw a party, invite a bunch of dope people to come. You don't need to have gone to any particular ad school to get in, but you are a maker, right? So you're a poet or a writer or a rapper or a painter, and I've carried that same type of passion through to what I'm doing today. So I'm not looking at folks that have necessarily all the accolades. I'm looking for the best talent that really speaks to people in a particular type of way. And then I'm looking at people that really are committed to making a social impact. So I have an artist named Shala Akintunde, who is a solar artist, right? So he creates monuments like the one he has in Chicago, which is a solar pyramid that are not only beautiful, right? Because art can be very beautiful, and just having beauty in a neighborhood can uplift the neighborhood, but also pour back functionally into the neighborhoods that they serve. I could go down a list of artists that I represent, but I think the main core thread is that culture and that commitment to social impact and creating some sort of change.
Tiff, if I could pick up on something that Danny just said, which is the different types of artists and creative products. And when I think about RGA, for many years, RGA was bringing new types of creative solutions to market. Were they ideas, were they products, were they platforms, were they all three? Tell us a little bit about the talent that you've been bringing in and how you keep them engaged to keep pushing your product and your brand forward. How do you do that through a talent perspective?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, RGA has always been about bringing different types of talent together that might not have normally been together. I think that's, both has always been a strength, but it's also the challenge, right? And that's what we're all trying to do is how do you bring together different kinds of backgrounds, different kinds of skill sets, because when you put people together, whether it's a creator that was more of an artist background, but you put them with a technologist, or maybe you're just putting them together with someone that grew up in a different country, it's really those different perspectives that is what leads to new ideas. It's the intersections of that thinking that leads to new ideas. And for me, even though, yes, there's output of of what appears to be comms or a product, I think where it gets most interesting is when you blend those things, when you bring the thinking that you wouldn't have expected, bring someone that has worked in comms into a product experience, bring product people into comms, because maybe the thread is that they're all an experience of some sort. And I think we have to be looking at work through the lens of context, especially, where they find something, where they come across, work. It's always got some different context, a platform that it's on, the culture that it's within that moment. And you have to really think about things as a holistic experience, no matter what the output is. And so having those different thinkers to look at it through a different lens is where I think you get the most interesting work. And I think that's a lot, at least coming to RGA, and I think why we all come to this industry is you want to learn from different types of people. You don't want to come in and kind of keep doing the same things you've always done. It's about curiosity. It's about learning. And sometimes I think it's easier to keep things clean and say, you do this and you do that, and that's more efficient. And that's how we move things along to make sure things get done a certain way, because they know exactly how to do it. But that's where you lose the magic, right? If you're not putting some people together that might not, know it. You come into it with a totally different look and view, whether it's a young person coming into that process. And I think that's what will continue to attract people in and make them want to work in the business, If we allow that blend of thinking, the number one thing that people always say, most agencies, it's always the talent, the people. You come in, you learn from others. And so for us, it's really, because we do all those things, it's always been about very intentional intersection of thinking, and the kind of thinking it is just keeps evolving. New technologies, new types of work, new people from different backgrounds.
Love it. I'm going to pick up on something you just said, that intersectionality, right? New thinking. Olivier, so sports has always been a thing with brands, but we've had decades of badging things, and now we talk about experience where sports and sports personalities are connecting. Can you talk a little bit about some of the work you do, how your talent helps you to understand how brands can have a relevant and a credible place with sports artists, sports personalities? What's the role of a brand, and how are you doing that, and how's talent helping you to do that with authenticity?
It's not that easy, actually, but I think that the key is just to make people think that don't do something for me, don't do something for the client, do something for yourself. Even in sports. Because, sports it's like music. It's only emotions, pure emotions. But every kind of emotions. It could be joy, it could be fear, it could be angry. Do it. We always find a way to correct, to readapt, or to rewrite, but do it. And sometimes, for sports, because sports now is massive. But the problem is that we have a little problem here in France, because we are pretty good in sports, but when it's come to marketing, communications, we're not that good, using sports or athletes. So that's why I keep pushing my creatives, saying, do something for you. Because,
right.
Looking at Mbappé is fantastic. So I'm not saying that you need to be the next Mbappé, but you need to do something so emotional, exactly like the way you watch Mbappé, Yeah. It helps a lot.
Got it. Beautiful. So moving on, we're going to talk more about product and some of the magic that's made. And Ete, I'm going to give you a bit of a run up, my friend. So you got a few seconds. But product is obviously everything we think about, and it's everything that we are awarded for. I wanted to show you something from a friend of mine. You probably know Marcus. Marcus has written a book. If you haven't read the book, get the book. But he talks about, on the left, don't do advertising, create a cultural product, right? We hear a lot about culture in our industry. And on the right are some of the examples that he talks about. Experiences, music, fashion, film, food, content, art, the list goes on. When you think about, you run Dentsu Creative across the region. EMEA is a multifaceted region, right? So there is never going to be one product that will satisfy everything. How do you think about the evolution of your product, getting into culture, being relevant? How are you doing that at Dentsu? What's your journey? What are you up to, my friend?
In truth, we're still going through it. The network's only recently been built, but building on the points that Tiff and Oriel made before, it's about people, right? And Danny said it before. It's about communication and connecting with people and understanding languages and, sort of inherent motivations within culture. I always think, and a lot of the points we've been talking about, is the creativity we make it's a combination of imagination and collaboration, the sort of imagination of the different perspectives, different backgrounds, different cultures, and then them collaborating to make something new. So what we are doing across Dentsu Creative with EMEA is we are essentially trying to remove the barriers between our different teams and different offices to drive more of that imagination and collaboration, not just within the agency, because there are some obvious things, which is culturally, some of the markets, collaboration isn't something that is naturally leaned into. There's a lot of process within the organization, and they just don't know each other, right? So sort of connecting people around shared ambition, interests, passions, and having them define the product, but also collaborating with people outside of the agency, whether they are creators, whether it is new technology platforms, just encouraging experimentation and collaboration, and then seeing how the product kind of evolves through that.
Beautiful. On that point, I think one of the things we should talk about is clients, right? What's the client's appetite for approving, welcoming your push, if we're going to go across the lines and get them to evolve? Andrea, I'm going to put this to you. I believe that Gut may have had quite a good week, but the client is also part of that conundrum, right? How do you get the clients to also want to push the barriers? Talk to us a little bit about that from your perspective, Andrea.
So it's interesting because I arrived at GOT, 8 months ago, and they told me we were an agency, that it was a brave agency for brave clients. So the clients that work with us are pretty brave because we push them a lot and we make them do things that have never been done before in speeds that, in timing that has never been done before. Some are, it's a scale. We always tell them it's a scale because they get very, sometimes a little scared about bravery, but we tell them it's at scale. And so you can be at 1, and what we'll try to do and take you at 3 or 5. But we cannot do it if they don't, want to play with us. They have to be in the room with us. So what I've found in the last 8 months is we work very close with the clients. We have WhatsApp groups with the clients, right? So it's WhatsApp groups. It's like, I have this idea, and then it activates, and then they feel part of the idea, and then they build. And if they build with you, they'll do it. They'll do it most of the time. They'll do it.
And clients, do they co-create in those WhatsApp groups? Is that where the process goes to?
Yes, we have WhatsApp groups with the clients. They're in there. A lot of the creatives and the clients have direct relationships, which is different than I've been used to sometimes, where you have, an account person. No, you have to talk to me first. This is you have to find the space. Like, what's happening? What's happening?
Right.
So I asked to be included in the WhatsApp groups.
Excellent. Tiff, I'd love to just build on that. What is your creative process, and how do you work with clients? Because from my understanding, the range of solutions has historically always been broad at RGA. So help us understand how clients are involved in that and how they become champions of that, or if there are challenges, what they are and how you overcome them.
I think most of our clients at least have a perception of RGA that we're going to bring them something new. They're going to see some new technology that they haven't seen. We're going to show them, how to build something that might not have been built. So there's usually a base level of we're gonna get something from you that is gonna push us or help us, see a new a technology in a new way. So there's at least that good. And I think that the point of defining yourself as a brave agency for brave clients, you're starting to create a little bit of a filter when you come through the door. So I think it's really important that, when you're connecting in with clients, you're getting the right types of clients. They understand what it means to work with you, so there aren't surprises along the way. And we have clients that come in a lot of different doors because a lot of times people and clients are looking for a thing they need. They think they need I need a website, I need a campaign. And that might pull them in, but I think what is interesting and what they see, when they work with us after that is that it is looking at it differently, right? we'll look at a communications, a campaign, but we have experienced people that are going to help you think about what that journey of experiencing that campaign might look like, or a product that actually operates as a brand expression when typically maybe they needed it for this one use or utility. And so, but that's a learning process, and part of it is the sharing along the way. I think the point of bringing them in is really important. There were times, when I was starting out in my career, and it felt a little bit like we would surprise the clients. I think Mad Men trained people badly too. It's like it's just a madman going away to a coffee shop or having a whiskey and a cigarette and coming back with a brilliant idea. And I think that's not how it works anymore. Like things are so much more complicated, and there's all kinds of different technologies needed. You need, even the tech now is as much talking to legal people, and we're talking about ethics issues, and HR is involved in a product thing. And I think that you have to bring people together, bring people in the room together, understand the process, fewer surprises, but still delight and excitement along the way. And part of it is that it's never a finite idea. I think we talk about ideas as this finite thing, like I had this idea and then I made this idea. But ideas are never, I want to do a whole presentation. I talked to someone about this yesterday on just showing what the first version of every idea was, because it never looks like what it ends up. It often gets better if you're not careful with understanding at the core, what is that idea trying to do? What is it solving? Then those ideas can get lost, and that's when bad ideas can happen. So you have to really understand what the core is without it being the actual literal execution, because it will change and it needs to change, and it's having being in the process and changing with the clients, and trusting each other that you're going to make these decisions along the way to get to the best outcome. And so that's what we try to do is open up that experience and that journey to build together.
Got it. So as you think about the possibilities of creativity, and again, I'll refer to some of the lists that Marcus gave, does anything scare you guys as creative leaders in terms of keeping up, understanding it, being able to sell it having a business impact, any of the above or anything else? What makes you nervous around your product and the breadth of your product? I'm going to start with you, Danny, because you've got a collective. So maybe we'll start there, and maybe, Olivia, if you could follow on, just to talk to us about any fears, anything that's preoccupying your mind with your breadth of creative portfolio and product.
Yeah, I think right now, nervous isn't the feeling that I have, I'm excited. I think it's a very exciting time. There are a lot of opportunities on the table, not just around the people, right, and the creative that can be made, but with the technology as well. And also looking at when we connect to what the needs of people are, it opens up the languages that we can speak. And so here, what I always get excited about is what's the experience? What's the experience that we're wanting to connect? What's the collaboration that we're wanting to bring forth with our clients? So we try to do a lot of listening and understand where our clients in their mind, where are they in their bravery? As was said earlier, some clients are at a 1, some clients are more so at a 10. And then curating the right partnerships to help our clients actually connect to the right experiences so that they can actually make an impact on people. So that's what I get excited about. It's not, let me throw every artist at you. It's let me listen, let me learn how to meet your needs and understand what's the best artistic strategy to help both of us win.
Olivier?
Yeah, maybe there's something I can add is just don't forget the fun. Because, we're pretty sad. We're doing things, we keep thinking, but don't forget the fun. It has to be fun, and fun for you first. So that's why we use, how can we have fun by making this, living this, sharing this, explaining this, fun. Because, it's only advertising. We're not supposed to, bore people.
I love that. I love that fun. We were actually talking about this before we came on. Ete, I'm going to ask you to pick up, and Andrea, this is definitely one for you. So fun, right? I believe that part of our role is to get the clients excited, make them feel fun, get the teams to feel that energy around the work. Ete, talk to us about how you create that environment of fun, right? We're not just internally, but with the clients. And Andrea, I want you to share some of your jewels as well in that area.
Good question. I'm glad you came to me first on that one. Well, I actually want to go back to the point you said before around what's terrifying me in the topic of fun.
Yeah.
Not necessarily terrifying, but problematic, particularly in Europe, is that when we're making work, a lot of our clients are very obsessed with research and how things perform in testing. And to a certain extent, that ends up being who you are crafting the work with or how the creative work evolves, rather than the kind of clients leaning in. So sort of bringing it back to the point of kind of fun and Olivia's point around pushing bravery through that and actually bringing people back to the point of what we're making is advertising. In part of it is to deliver a message or create an experience, but it should be enjoyable. It should be something that kind of connects people. It should be using hope as a motivator as opposed to sort of fear and pain, because we know we have to address those things, whether we're creating an experience, but you will compel people to do things much more for your brand if they're inspired and if there's some hope or magic in it. And so within our teams, a lot of that is bringing people out to Cannes, obviously enjoying the parties and the rest of it, but seeing the work and seeing the ambition and the potential that's kind of out there, because when you're on the grind trying to get the work through, particularly if it's through testing or whatever challenges, it can get demotivating, to your point, if where the idea started and sometimes where it ends isn't exactly where you wanted it to end. But I think, even if you're not making yourself, repointing people to what is possible, and not losing sight of the fact actually great work can be made. It can be an enjoyable experience to do it, and then taking that back into the clients and going, look, what we can make really shapes culture. It makes people connect with each other. It, useful products, services, and just makes people smile. And you can go back and be proud about it. So it's a lot of that, sort of repointing people back to what is enjoyable about this industry in terms of the work that we make, the people that you get to work with, the things you get to learn.
Love that. Andrea, talk to us about your book of fun. How do you do that?
So, listen, I think the world is so complicated and the clients are so complicated and the businesses are so complicated that if we don't have fun, we're all just going to die. That's what I think. So, I think that what gets in the way of fun a lot is, I have two things that I would say is, one, what gets in the way of fun is worrying. And it's the most useless feeling that you can have because you can't do anything about it. It's going to happen, or it happened already. Oh, you lost a client. All right, what do we do next?
Yep.
So in action versus worrying is better, right? So, and that helps you have more fun. So if everybody's worried at the agency, and then you don't have fun. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that we celebrate everything. Everything. Like, day off, everybody goes crazy. 2, we want a candy, yeah! It's the celebration of everything that gets everybody, it's contagious. Fun is contagious. And when people are having fun, you attract talent, you keep talent, people want to work with you, clients want to work with you. I mean, clients come to agencies to have fun. Their work, I don't think their work is as exciting as ours. I don't think so. Maybe it is. But they come to us to have fun. And if we're going to be like them, awful. So we try to have fun and laugh all as much as we can and not take everything so serious. Like, you don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow.
Right.
So at least you die laughing, right?
Love that. Love that. So Oriol, the counterbalance to everything we just heard, which I completely subscribe to, is there's a serious world of business, right? And the accountability of creativity. Talk to me a little bit about how you balance those worlds, right? Having amazing creative solutions that are driving business. How do you, as a creative leader, where's your focus? And how do you inspire teams to make sure that you don't lose the business element of whatever solution you're creating? How does that work for you?
I was going to talk about fun, but no, business is important too. No, I think I do want us to have fun, but I want us to make an impact. And I think, for me, I think the best work kind of exists at the edges, right? You can be kind of loved or hated, but I think the worst thing is to be forgotten. So for me, I'm kind of always filtering the work as like, will this make it into someone's feed? Will this make an impact? Because I think if you're kind of organically showing up where people are already looking and in places that people care about, then I think the business impact is not far behind that, But I do think, that the hardest job to do is to aspire or to kind of try and achieve levels of creative excellence, right? That also shift, like make meaningful shifts for businesses. I think like I've been judging I was judging for 2 days, and the work that we were looking at and the work that we awarded the highest was, I think, the main reason was because it proved that you can be exceptionally creative with two of the oldest mediums, actually. It was an outdoor campaign that became a radio campaign. And it was for a business that I think most people would struggle to find something new to talk about, right? And I think that kind of, as a level to aspire to for creatives, is really important, because sometimes I think we can say it's too difficult, right? I can aim for a creative target that's closer to me, right? But I think when you can hit that target that does it all, it's a great feeling. So I want to hold up those examples. I want to hold them up internally, for us at Mother, and just prove that it is possible. But I think it's always on my mind, right? How will this really make an impact? Who will give a shit?
And as we think about sort of the impacts and clients and what they're asking for, technology has come up all over this week. I'm not going to refer to GBT, but I do want to talk about technology broadly, right? How are you guys integrating technology? How is it helping you to drive better work, different work? How is it helping you to stay connected to communities? That's come up here. If you're going to be pushing outside of your lane, I believe technology can help in a number of ways, right? As well as being business accountable, because you can create business models from direct connection with consumers. How are you guys leveraging technology to really help you push out into new areas? What does that look like in your respective agencies? I'm going to start with you, Tiff, and then Ete, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a voice in that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much core to what we do. I personally believe technology and creativity are kind of inseparable. I mean, if you just like go back to the beginning of time, it was like our creativity always had some sort of tool for expression, because we have this insatiable need to either personally express or express stories of our culture, from printing press to TV to what, it just, as new technology has always come out, it's always been this opportunity for humans to figure out how to leverage it to push the creativity and to do new things. And so it's just never even been a question in my mind that, like, as a new technology comes out, it's like our job as creative people to figure it out, to experiment with it, to play with it, and to build new things with it. And so, our job, especially where I am at RGA, is we have to be always out in front, experimenting it. I know there's fear around technology. Someone told me I was an optimistic futurist, I guess, and part of that is I believe that it's our job as creative people to make the technology into the thing we want it to be. I mean, when you're afraid of tech and you just want to wait to see what happens, I guarantee you it's not going to turn out probably the way you want. And so I think it's our obligation as creative people to find ways to make it this amazing human expression and tool to do a lot of different things. And we have to always be experimenting. It's, you go down paths, you don't know what it is yet, and you see that with technology. There's a curve where, initially there's a lot of rush to it, and maybe speculation and some things we saw, we've seen different trends over the years, whether I remember when I've been in this business a long time and I started out as a web programmer designer, internet in the 90s when everyone thought the internet was a trend, and it was, one thing and it became another thing, and it led to new innovations. And, that's the exciting thing, is we don't know what they are yet as they come out, but part of our job is to play, make mistakes, do a bunch of NFTs that maybe no one uses or whatever. Part of it is that experimentation, and then we find the things that are really meaningful, what the core of that technology can be for people, and then build from that. And that's, that's what I think my job is every day, and that's what we try to do consistently.
Anything to add?
I agree with Tiff, encouraging experimentation and building a culture around that. At the network level, there is an unhealthy obsession with particularly AI and how it's going to deliver scale and profitability.
Can I just ask on that? Is that an efficiency discussion or is that a creativity discussion?
It's both a little bit. And what it is creating is a slight panic, I think, across the creative community and ultimately the people, right? Because it is the whole, is AI going to take our jobs, the rest of it? And so a lot of what we're trying to do as the creative leaders within the creative service line of Dentsu is actually trying to, again, repoint the conversation to what the creative potential of the technology is. Yeah, okay, the efficiency, productivity thing is going to happen, and the business is always going to look at that. But how do we actually use it to make better work for our clients, that it becomes that force multiplier, to Oriol's point, in terms of the effectiveness of the work for their business and how it gives them, category shifts and, ongoing kind of success. And in order to do that, and also not just say or do the same thing that everybody's doing with the technology, we're really sort of focusing on looking at like underserved groups or underserved communities, because they're already hacking tons of systems and using technologies in interesting ways to do that. So if you plug into those groups and you collaborate with them and you get ideas, you actually start to take your creativity, particularly with technology, to new use cases and new places, which are beyond the obvious, but that is that sort of 10% innovation space that actually works for everybody. So that's what we've tried to push the teams to do a lot more, and our clients as well.
Got it. Andrea, I don't know if you do this, but I'd love to get your perspective. Being an independent, you probably have a different conversation than maybe a network creative leader in terms of what you can do with technology, how flexible, how quickly, how much you can play. How are you at Gut and Oriol? I'd love to get your perspective at Mother, another independent. How are you thinking about technology? How is it enhancing your work? Can you just share anything you've done recently as just an example of how you guys are embracing it, or not, if you see differently?
Listen, it's a tool like any other, right? So I think when I don't understand that technology, I say I don't understand it. And so I go to the young ones because I'm like their parents. It's like their age, more or less, of their parents. So it's like, hey, I don't understand this. And I sit with the young kids and they explain it to me, and it's really exciting.
Right.
They're using it every day. So, it's as we were talking before, right? How do you keep up? I have to keep up. If not, I can't be in the conversation. I just can't be in the conversation. I won't understand the ideas. So to the question of, are we using it? Everybody is. All our creative talent, all our young talent is using it every day. And if you don't use it, you're not going to keep up. Simple as that. And sometimes we train clients on it. Sometimes clients train us on it. Sometimes we bring people to train us on it. And I try to go to all the trainings just to learn a little bit too.
Got it. Oriol, what are your thoughts?
I agree. I think we're already using it. We're investing in training, right? We want to get everyone to at least the same level of like proficiency.
Do you have groups in your agency that do that? Do you have people who are accountable to train, and there's real accountability, or is it more organic?
We can bring in like external partners, like people who kind of can help run those, and facilitate those kinds of trainings. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about it a lot. But I think the conversation that we have internally is that it is just a tool, and in fact, it puts a premium, I think, back on creativity. So for us, it's now the time is to figure out how to use these tools, but also double down on, I think, the original source, right, of creativity. And for example, if you're an art director and you've really invested in your craft and you have a deep well of references to pull from, then you will be able to get to more interesting things on Midjourney, right? Mm-hmm. So I think for us, it's about actually doubling down on what it is that makes us unique, which is our ability to connect dots that AI wouldn't, right? It's our cultural awareness, right, that ChatGPT can't understand. So as much as we talk about the tech and we use it, we spend, I think, more time talking about what is the original source of creativity and what are the human insights that are going to drive how we use that tech.
Got it. Beautiful. Danny, your collective, tell us a little bit about how you are resourced and how you stay connected to what is new, what is fresh. How do you stay inspired? Because you've got a group of people that are sort of living in subcultures all the time, right? You could potentially fall prey of the shiny object because you're always seeing new. How are you understanding what's new and will drive great creative solutions for clients? How do you stay inspired and filter what's the next thing or the thing that you should focus on? How does that work for you?
Yeah, I think it's a nice balance of, as we say, keeping your ear to the street, but also understanding what is really meaningful and what creates meaning. And so there's always going to be some new technology, some new thing that you can pick up and try, or somebody's going to say, you know, this app is out, app is in, or, you know, something of that nature. But what is it actually doing for the people that we're serving? Who are the communities that we're actually trying to talk to and communicate with? And what's our goal? And that always makes the difference. Maybe there is a moment where we want to jump on the shiny, new, trendy thing because it actually makes an impact. But other times, you know, the tried and true arc of storytelling is what's most important. Who are the people? What are the stories we're trying to tell? And I think it's been said here, I try to keep a nice roster of young people. I'm actually going back home to Chicago this week to tutor elementary school children, right? And it's interesting to think about like how much I can learn in an internship with someone that's in 8th grade, because what they're seeing at that level is very different than the Gen Z crowd that's, you know, in high school or, you know, in college, or millennials, X, Y, or Z. So I just try to stay really in tune with a variety of people, young, older, you know, intergenerational relationships. All of that matters and pours into the storytelling. And it also matters for my curation of the talent that I work with. So I don't, like, when you look at our roster, it's not just like, hey, it's the, you know, latest TikToker. You know, we do have influencers that are very influential on TikTok, Instagram, things of that nature. But we also have seasoned veterans in fine arts. We have seasoned veterans. My artist, John Jennings, is a New York Times best-selling graphic novelist, known for adapting Octavia Butler series, right? Kindred and Parable of the Sower. That means it takes time, right, to grow some perfection. And then being able to really find those nuggets across generations, I think makes the work better and helps us to serve our clients better.
I love that. I want to go back to the community and the effect of our work. I know you have a very socially driven agenda for the work you do. I want to talk to you, Olivier, about sports, because when we think about creativity, I think it should affect the communities in a positive way. Sports is a definite vehicle for doing that, and it's growing. The amount of tie-ups, the amount of investment, it's just ballooning. How do you stay connected to the communities? How does the work that your teams do have an effect on the communities? How do you see that through the lens of sports and the work you do?
Because, you know, there is something really interesting about sports. Let's say, for instance, that football, not soccer, guys, football, it's like, you know, a common language. So you can unify, you can express yourself by using, you know, football, for instance. But even if it's not football, it's sports. So when you think about a community, and when you think about people who are, you know, really passionate about sport, I'm not saying it's easy, but it helps a lot. It helps to, you know, bring people together because, for instance, we lost the last final, you know, over Argentina. It was sad. It was sad. But I know what Argentinian people think. I know that how French people think. And, you know, it's the same, actually. So when you think about community and when you think about sports, there is something interesting because it's people cheer, people chant, people do something really human. So, you know, basically, for instance, in Paris, if you think about Paris Saint-Germain, I mean, the football club,
yep,
it's easy to start a conversation because you have people who like the club and people who dislike the club. But anyways, they're talking, you know. So it's for me, it's a pure joy of working with sports and for brand like sponsors or stuff like that. It is my opinion.
Got it. So as we finish up, I wanted to ask you all, and we can go one by one. Did you think about pushing creativity in your respective agendas, coming away from Cannes, being inspired not just by the work, but hopefully by the young talent that's here? There's so much talent. What is the one thing that you're going to commit to as you think about pushing the creative agenda for your respective organizations and with your teams? What are you going to do? What are you taking back? What are you pushing forward? Help us understand that. We'll start with you, Danny.
Yeah, my main goal coming from here to push the work forward is authentic connection, right? And so, again, as you said, like there's a lot of amazing talent and amazing people. And so when you think about the authentic connection, we're looking beyond our titles. We're looking beyond the places that we work or where we're from and looking at what makes us tick and how we relate to each other and elevating those things, elevating those commonalities. And I think that's what makes the work better and that's what makes society better. You know, it creates a space for us to actually build bridges. So that's what I'm taking away.
Yeah, there's a lot happening right now in the world. Our clients are under intense pressure around economics. I'm personally really freaked out about some of the things that we've been seeing with marketers getting targeted and attacked for taking risks around their values, which means it's much harder to be brave if there's personal, your life's at stake in some way. Maybe we will die, Andrea. I'm not going to say, but
Can we just pause? Can you just stay on that point, though? That's a really important point. What's your feeling on that, right? Because as much as we want to push outside our lane, the world's different, right? And energies build up really quickly that are not always for the good, right? And clients are humans that sometimes can be targeted. What's your thought on that?
I mean, I think we have to be, this is where we as creative people, and we didn't get too much into this, but like, we have to understand the business. We have to understand what the clients are going through. We have to understand what's at stake, because risk is always about some sort of sacrifice and some sort of risk where something's at stake. And I think you have to go, well, what are the stakes that are worth it? And then how do you can't just throw a wild idea out there and put all the risk and, it's a lot on a client to make that call, and it comes back to them. It does come back to us, but it even more comes back to them. And I think you have to be, even closer. You have to not do it out of like, oh, I just wanted to win an award, but like not really think of the outcome. And then how do we partner with clients, partner with each other so that we can still do those brave ideas, push to really represent, the values and stand for something. But I think we have to be really aware of like what's around us in the world and the context. Like even an idea that might be fine yesterday might not be fine tomorrow. The real time of how we have to think about our work. And it can't be in a bubble and a vacuum. You need different people looking at it. It's important. We do this a lot where when there's any kind of flag and work along the way, we bring people together who are people that are especially knowledgeable about that or have a background from, a culture, and we bring it together and we talk about it because we don't always see all the things. And so that's where I think just us working across, bringing different people in, thinking, and really building that trust through understanding of what's happening, and also what the clients are giving up by taking on some of these brave ideas, and how we help them through it.
Love that. Excellent. Oriol, what are you pushing? What are the things that you're going to be taking back, and the considerations?
I want to keep building, Mother New York, the family, into a platform for a new generation of creatives and creativity, right? I want it to be a place where people can come and kind of reach their fullest potential in a way they maybe can't otherwise, right? And, my role is to kind of set the bar of what we consider great creative excellence, and how people get over that bar is then up to them. And for me, it's kind of the journey I'm on, and now it's the journey that Mother's on, and hopefully other people will join us. So.
Love it. Andrea.
So, listen, there's many ways to push creativity. I think that what I try to focus on personally and with the agency is, I think you have to have a balance of how the young talent is thinking, but also what has happened in the past, right? So I can, you have to study the world of communications and advertising. Like, I really sit and study what happened 20 years ago. I remember every year after I come from Cannes, I look at everything that won and everything that didn't win. And because it inspires you and it gives you a lot of knowledge. So yes, the young talent come up with really good ideas and really new ways of doing things. And if you mix that with what we know and what has happened before, it's magic. You can create magic, right? So it's like an idea pops up and it's simple, and the simplicity of it comes maybe from, it's something that's been done before many, many times. It just has a little new thing that you put from what's happening today. So I encourage people to be curious, I guess, is learn about everything that is around you, but also what happened before, right? And understand that. So, and then you can push it, because you can talk about it and push it.
Love it. Ete.
Probably doesn't sound that exciting, but equitable.
No.
Equitable collaboration, which I think is really important, right? There is so much conversation here across the industry about the creator economy. There is so much conversation about how we collaborate across, different partners, whether it's technology, media, whatever else. In the past, that collaboration, particularly from agency industry side, and just truth, has been exploitative, not necessarily equitable. Mm-hmm. And then we also have an approaching challenge around IP. Again,
can we talk about exploitative exploitation? Yeah. What do you mean by that? Just I want to pick up on that. This is Real Talk Friday.
I mean, how much time do we have? Just, I guess, top line in sort of several points. Misrepresentation or an absence of representation.
Right.
In the work, in credit of the work.
Right.
And not just in the listing or the awards. I'm talking also about the commercial and the financial side critically, which actually stops people from progressing their own creativity and collaborating further.
Right.
We need to get better at that. We're still not good enough at that, and we don't, I'm not going to labor about the creator economy, and Danny will do a much better job talking about that than I will. Mm-hmm. But I do think, agency side, I do think brands, we need to think more in a more considered way about equitable collaboration.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, we are now approaching a point whereby, we've all seen it in the news recently, and Will Iron was talking about it on stage. We're going to face challenges with IP, which is only going to be even more challenging for the creators. Yep. So I think there's a responsibility, particularly for us in the big agency groups working with the brands, to make sure all collaboration is equitable.
Yeah, just a quick response, because I really love what you just said. Because for me, it's like, keep listening to others. Because when for the young creative, of course, I'm the boss, but I just want to explain to them that I need to listen from you. And you need to listen from the client. And you need to listen to the viewers, for the people. Because if you keep if you keep a dialogue, it's good for everyone.
Yeah.
For me, it's key.
Beautiful. Well, look, we're going to wrap it here. What I hope is that you all, and you represent, for me, the full gamut of creativity. I hope you guys in the next year just stay connected, learn from each other. I think if this can become a powerful conversation that continues, you will spark creativity without even trying. So that's my only wish of you all. I also want to thank you for being here. It was Inkwell, it was Friday, it was Real Talk. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much.
Thanks.